Alright, so the distance between the between the forks is 5 inches. The front fender that was on the bike was like 5.5, 5.25, something like that. You get in there, but you gotta kind of squeeze it to do it. So that fender's got like an inner structure into it, see it? And I kind of want to try to see if I can collapse that fender, probably the whole thing, some distance. So it's kind of a make or break thing. I'm gonna go try this. Worst case scenario, if it turns to crap, it turns to crap. But what I got is a 2x4 and another piece of wood on the outer edge, so that when I go to crush it, it just doesn't do this, because that's not going to help me out. I got to get the whole thing to kind of crush together evenly. So we got 2x4 on the top. It's the steel plates on the bottom with just a rag on it. There you go. And I figure we'll try squishing it and see what it does, and go from there. Pop it in the stand and give her a couple of cranks. See what we get. I should probably hold the tape measure here. Ah, screw it. This eye. Make a noise. Now what I gotta do is I gotta get this piece of wood out of there. I don't know. Figure it out. Now the bottom is too wide, but that's okay. I'll worry about that later. It looks skinnier. I'm gonna give it a little squeeze right here too. I'm gonna go play with this a little bit, and we'll see what we get. And when I get it to something, and I'll put it back on the bike, I'll turn you back on. All right, so I took the front, the middle to the front. I squeezed down. I don't know if that's showing up. You see how it gets fatter. So slick, huh? So the front of it is more of a taper. So what we get here. So I kind of want it touching right there, which is fine, because I'm going to come with some kind of mount off of that. The same on the other side, but then there's room up above for when the fork is going up and down and not hitting on the other one. So that should be good. I could even go a little bit more if I had to, but the fender crushed in a uniform way, which is what I was trying to go for, without it showing, you know. Drop it on the floor. So that should clean up. I'm going to work on some sort of mount. I want to come off of that because that's pretty tough, and may cut the other one off. I'm not sure yet. So I'll turn you back on when I figure out what I'm doing. So I kind of mocked up the bike a little bit so I can get it on there. So I fine-tuned the bottom a little bit more, but you figure it's a 5.5 inch fender now, 4.5 inches wide, 4.25, something like that. So I got room from side to side, so it won't be rubbing. And put a couple of blocks of wood and a jack stand under it, just to try to, you know, visualize where it is. Now, that back tube is stationary. The tube in front moves up and down. That's the suspension. And it's got a rock on that point down below. I want to mount it to the tube in front, this one, so it kind of moves with the fender, with the tire, but the tire is going to actually move more than just that fork going up and down. It's kind of split the difference, you know, because here's where I am and here's where the wheel is. So when this thing's rocking, this point's moving 2 inches, this point's moving 4 inches, figure. You know what I mean? Following it? So I have to, if I'm tied to the middle, I need enough room so that when you hit a bump and it drives itself all the way up, it's still not going to hit the fender. So I'd like to tuck it close to the tire. It would look the best, but I just physically can't do that for that reason. So I'm kind of guessing right about there is going to be it. I'm thinking that's at least 3 inches of clearance under there, and the bike is up in the air. So just from putting weight on it, it's going to sit a little bit. I think I'm going to try to figure out some way to figure out how far that would travel up. I could probably take the springs out of it and do all that, but I'm not going to go that crazy. Probably just going to put a ratchet strap around it and maybe crank it as far as I can get it, and I'll visualize the springs, how much room is left, and I'll just add that much more to it. Alright, so I'm going to go work on that and try to find out where it needs to be, and then we'll work on hardware. And strapped down she is. The top springs are pretty much free. There's no pressure on them. And I would say this thing is tight. This is tight. Like, you know, each one of these got about 1,500, about 750 pounds on it. I'd say there's probably 1,500 pounds of pull on that thing at least right now. I would think it would probably be able to go worst case scenario. I mean, like if you hit a wheelie and landed it right now, this is probably where it's going to go to. But it has the capacity of, I'm going to say another inch. I don't think you could really get it. This was the stock height right here, and that's how much it's moved. I can't see this going up too much more than that. So the shims are in there. I figure I probably got a good inch between the tire and the fender in there, and yeah, maybe inch and a half in the back right there. The back weight doesn't change as much. It's kind of more it's pivoting on the front, the distance, you know. So the back of the tire doesn't pull away from the rim as much as the top will. The top's going to have a direct result, and the back side's tire's just going to kind of pass alongside it. Is that too much information? So I have these two holes in the bracket. Figure I want to split the difference, I think, on this tube right here, and I'm probably going to weld something to that tube that I can catch 2 bolts and hold that, and I think that should be quite strong. And it kind of also makes a band over the front end, so it kind of helps make the front forks more stable, but they're less apt to want to try to rack. You know, you're not just kind of worried working with the pinch bolt in the front. The 2 tubes are kind of tied together, keep it a little stiffer, you know. Alright, now I'm talking too much. Alright, I'm gonna see what I can come up for a bracket for that, and whittle out something, and see how we're gonna go about cleaning that up and getting a welder in there. Alright, I got these 2 plates made up, and they are gonna be what attaches to the fender, and these will get welded to the fork, and you can bolt and unbolt the fender through those holes. But I want to kind of kick them out a little bit so that they have an offset, kind of so that they're not so close to rubbing. I figure I'd stick it in the press, and we'll just kind of do an eyeball bend. I'll make it level with the 2 holes. A little more. That should be good. I don't want to go crazy with it. then go back the other way. So that's what we got. Now I'm going to go up a little ways and we'll try to make it straight again. I'll put that lip right on there. Trying to look down the end of it. It's not bad. It's showing. There you go. So that kind of keep it away from the sides of the tubes a little bit. And go make another one look just like that, and we'll stick them on the bike. Alright, so I got those plates on there. Kind of bice-script them into place and trying to move the fender around, see where I like it. What I still have to take it apart so I can get in there with a grinder and mark it, but that's kind of what we're going for. Then the bracket will be kind of in the middle. I know it's hard to see the straps in the middle of it, but I wanted to get it where those two bolt holes are basically in the center, and I clear everything. So, enough room for it to rock up and down. When I take it back off, I gotta kick this bracket a little bit more. It's gotta go in just a little bit further. All right, so I'm gonna go mark that with a Sharpie or a piece of tape. Get that out of there, see if we can get in there with a grinder, get it cleaned up, and tack it on. And then we can let the wheel down and see what it looks like in its normal riding position. Alright, so it's tacked on, and it's kind of where it's going to stay, I guess, in the, that would be the collapsed position, and a little. I have, again, I say about 1.5 inches between the fender and the tire. So if it does crunch up a little bit more, I still won't hit. Now's the big reveal. I gotta try to walk those ratchet straps down without the thing shooting off like a grenade, and we'll extend it and we'll see what it looks like. Alright, so that's it in the down, and it looks pretty even all the way around, which I'm happy about. I was afraid it was gonna show too much beak in the front there, you know. So that should work good. I gotta tweak it a little. The only issue is you can see how much gap you have on that side of the tire, and you see how much gap you got on that side of the tire. So I'd like to try to even it out a little bit, and I think it's just when I kind of squish the fender, I gotta try to just bend that leg out a little bit. So I'm gonna try doing it on the bike with the tacks on it. But all in all, I'm liking it. Should be fine. And it's removable with 4 bolts, so I could always, if I find something different, I could always change it. Give me a mount to work with. And my other thought again is it kind of helps stiffen up the front end too, because now you have, you know, a couple of bands of metal wrapping around again down below. Let me see if I can get to squishing that thing so it kind of kicks out a little bit more on this side. And I have the holes like dead nuts. There's no play. There's no play in them right now. If worst case, if I need to, I'll egg them out. But I want to try to do it without having that, so you don't have to worry about it trying to loosen itself up over time, you know. Alright, let me start squeezing. Alright, so I fine-tuned that fender mount a little bit and tacked on those brackets a little bit better till I take it apart. But I'm happy with where that's gonna stay. And so now I'm looking on to other things, which is I can probably work my way right up the line. You're gonna have the headlights, directionals, handlebars, and controls. So we did a little shopping today, and there's a couple of the things I had grabbed. I went to my local motorcycle shop. I wanted to ask them about, you know, height of the headlights and all that kind of stuff, what's in spec and what's out, because he's where I go and get my sticker. And I was asking him just for some other stuff, and he was able to come up with a couple of pieces. I need to run a front brake with a cable, and then that front brake with a cable has to have a brake light switch. So that's what that is right there. These are 7/8, He said you got to take one, you got to take both. They're a pair, you know, left and right. So whatever side I decide to put the front brake lever on will be which bracket I use. And that came with a couple of cables too, and one of them is fairly long. It's this one. That one should be more than long enough, and that should work. I should be able to mod that. It's a little on the, I should say it's fine. I was thinking it's a little on the thin side, but now that I'm looking at it, it's pretty good. And truth be told, I never use the front brake on this thing anyway. Just don't need it, doesn't do anything. And then the headlight. Voila. So this is a brand new, yeah, I know, right? I'm gonna say it's wintertime, I can't find anything. Brand new headlight, and it's metal, not plastic. And it's, I think, a 5-inch. But the other one was a 7. The one that was on the other front end was a 7. And it's got the high beam light switch mounted into the top of it, and a swivel on it. So I was kind of thinking, now before I walk over there, I might as well do the rest of the stuff that I got. Again, I'm probably going to take my speedometer head and try sticking that in the dash. I grabbed some hardware. These are going to be the stops. I'm going to weld a nut on the front end so the handlebars only turn so far without hitting bodywork. And this is just extra hardware for the Fender when I just went and I got. I grab for a headlight. Made where? Going to be made in USA. Imagine that. Imagine that. So there's that guy. Hopefully it's slippery. I don't do something stupid here. It's gonna suck. Whereas in the Indian Lariat says it makes patina. I don't know. I think I'm coming off the bottom bracket and try to get back far enough so you can see it like that. And then they would have, normally the top bracket would be up there. I'm kind of thinking on the bottom, but I think I might want to roll up some towels and try to make some kind of conglomeration to hold this thing here, and see how I like it from further away, you know. When I do that, I'll turn you on. So that's if I made a bracket off the bottom. I would figure I'd probably kick it a little bit lower anyway, just to give that suspension a little bit more clearance, you know what I mean? So when this bounces down, not much. I think it comes down to more, where would I like it, you know? I was kind of thinking just right above the front fender, even lower. And I gotta kind of bounce it around a little bit. Decisions. I like the front fender. I think that came out just right. I also like the fact that you got a view of the Springer front end right in the reflection of the headlight, and you can see your high beam light. I guess you can see if it's trying to figure out where I am. I got tape covering my handlebars like a crime scene here, so I can't get on the bike. But that's about where you'd be sitting right there, eye level. I don't know, maybe a little lower to kind of get it out of the way a little bit more too, so you can kind of see the road. Kind of in your line of sight there, looking down the front end, you know. I could tuck it in further too. I can do a lot of things. It's good from the front there. Alright, well, I'm going to try a couple of different combinations, and then I guess you're going to find out in 2 seconds. Alright, so here's what I'm thinking. Of course I have to throw a couple of wrenches in the bike somewhere, so I might as well make it my headlight mount. So what I'm thinking is I can kind of bolt that side of it just like it is right there. And I tried to pull the suspension down as far as it would. I wanted to see what it had for clearance. And my thought is I'm going to heat the back sides up underneath so I can kind of kick them down a little bit. And I'll make them so they can cross each other. Something like something like that, and then I could run the one stud of the light right through the center and use that for the mount. I think it'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I think it's a Mac. Put the Mac on top, the nice one. So that's my plan, and then we'll see how that works out. So I'm gonna go heat them up, kick them down a little bit, and reassemble it. I'm kind of gearing down for tonight, but the last part I was pondering and wanting to get some thought on was my front brake. So I ended up putting the brake levers back on. That's the hardware, and you see right there that this guy right here is where the cable is going to come down, and it's going to pull on this piece down here. So that's your brakes on and off. The only thing I'm running into for a problem is if you hit the brakes, the brake drum is going to want to spin. So something has to take that, counter that energy, and hold the brake drum from spinning. You know, the tire's putting a lot of force trying to turn that. So basically, you have something that you come off of with like a con rod that kind of supports the drum from turning. And if you look on this one, that would be that post right there. You know, and then it has this piece of hardware right here, which would be where you would mount the other end to. So I'm sitting here thinking about it. It's like, yeah, no problem, I'll just go do that. But then when you think about the suspension moving, if I just anchor it down, however, first of all, it's in the wrong spot. It should be down low, but so be it. The best way to say it. It has to be able to follow this triangle. You can't have this thing every time you're going up and over a bump moving a little bit, you know, even if it's just a little bit, because over time it's just going to loosen these joints up. You don't want none of this stuff turning at all. You want it dead nuts, you know, steady, nothing. So it kind of has to follow this. Whatever you anchor to is kind of what I came up with. Is this follows all this. So my only thinking is trying to come off and maybe anchor to, you know, try to maybe offset something, have it come back and come into here so that it supports it from turning. I tried flipping it around, and well, I'll show you. Should go. So say now your mount is back there, but you still have to try to come and be right in line. I don't know, I got to kind of think about it. If I put a stud right here, and they're not in the same place. If it was lined up right with this, yeah, you could pin it to whatever this is in a straight line. I don't know. Maybe I could bring that down there and jump. Well, anyway, that's the whole idea. That's what I'm trying to think about. And now what your problem is your brakes are upside down, and you know, your cable wants to pull from that direction. I suppose I could probably come up with something else where, you know, I don't know. That's a long loop of a brake cable. Generally that would fall on the back side of it. I tried taking the linkages off and flipping them around, or flipping them this way, but it didn't seem to work right. It seemed like this point did not line up with this guy. It was like way out here or something. But that's for another day. That's what I'm gonna go try to figure out, and let it kind of mull over my head. But I'm liking the overall look. Looks a little better sitting on the ground. But the fender came out nice. I like where the headlight is. The headlight might be a little too bouncy. There's the 2 wrenches and that tightened up, but I'm afraid of that, you know, how much that's going to be a player. So I can always leave it like that, and if I have an issue, I'll have to come off of it with another kind of a triangle and maybe a little further out, and if I have 3 points, then it'll stiffen it up, you know. But I'll worry about that at a later date. We'll see how it is when the bike's running. Handlebars are growing on me a little bit, but I still think I'm going to change them up. Alright guys, I'm shutting you down. Again, thanks for watching, commenting, subscribing, and hopefully get this front end kind of finished up pretty soon.